Hockey goalie gear has really evolved since the beginning of the game. So let's take a look to how we got to where we are today.
George Merritt of the Winnipeg Victorias was the first goalie to ever wear leg pads. He put on a pair of cricket pads for the 1896 Challenge game against the Montreal Victorias, where he earned a shutout in a 2-0 game. In the early 1900s, goalies wore leather gloves that were filled with felt and animal hair.
Some put sticks of bamboo over their wrist for extra protection. These were the same ones players used. A little over 10 years later, they started wearing shoulder, chest, and back protection, which consisted of pieces of felt worn underneath their jerseys.
In the 1925-26 season, leg pads made of horsehide and
Kapak, a soft, silky-like cotton-like fiber, were now limited to a width of 12 inches.
In the next 11 years, chest protectors became thicker, like a baseball catcher's, and blockers were introduced as wood frames filled with sponge rubber.
When Clint Benedict from the Montreal Maroons had his nose broken from a Howie Morin shot, he became the first goaltender to ever wear a mask in an NHL game.
On February 20, 1930. When Clint Benedict returned to the ice, he used a leather face mask, but this was blocking his vision, which led to him only using it for 2 games. In the mid-40s, Emile Francis was the first goalie to use a catcher's glove. He used a large baseman's glove. On November 1st, 1959, when the New York Rangers faced off against the Montreal Canadiens, Jacques Plante took a puck to the face and refused to go back on the ice unless he would wear a fiberglass mask that he used in practice. Without a backup goalie, his coach didn't really have any options. This was the beginning of goalies wearing face masks. As masks became more popular, some goalies began decorating theirs. The famous mask was worn by Boston's Gary Cheevers in the late 1960s, who painted stitches wherever he had been hit by a shot.
Years later, goalies started wearing 2-piece upper body protection because it helped with flexibility. They also started wearing harder caps for their shoulders and elbows.
The mask had soon evolved into a helmet and cage. Some goalies even chose to add a neck protector.
In the late 1900s, materials became lighter, stronger, and waterproof. Goalies started wearing chest and arm protection that consisted of a nylon suit with thick blocks of foam and plastic.
Masks were a hybrid of fiberglass and epoxy resin, secured to the head by a plate on the back. Goalies started using pads that exceeded a width of 12 inches.
This is the era where goaltenders looked for any advantage by increasing the size of their equipment.
This started to get out of hand when goalies wore huge chest protectors, oversized and loose jerseys, very wide pants, leg pads that exceeded well above the knee to help close off their five-hole. In 2005, the NHL decided to put an end to this and began requiring form-fitting jerseys and pads that proportioned to the goalie's size. Leg pads could be no wider than 11 inches. The circumference of a catching glove was decreased from 48 inches to 45 inches, and blockers were reduced from 16 to 15 inches.
The modern-day goalie has come a long way from where we started. They are now covered in form-fitting Kevlar, plastic and carbon, and high-quality foam. When looking to advance the technology and the gear we use today, we can't forget about the journey it took us to get to where we are.